back to the channel. My name is Lena and today I'm going to walk you through exactly how to start your first budget. So if you are not an accountant and you've never had a budget before, or perhaps you're revamping your budget, this video is for you. I'm going to talk simple ways that you can start your budgeting journey. Our first budget does not need to be 3 pages long, this fancy Excel worksheet with all these cool little things. We just need to get started on an easy budget that we can actually do. And with that, let's get started. The first thing you need to think about before you embark on your budgeting journey is, why are you even doing this? If you do not have a reason for why you are budgeting, then you won't really want to do it ever. So perhaps you have some debt that you need to pay off. Perhaps you want to find more wiggle room in your life for more vacations. Perhaps you have a retirement plan. Maybe you're feeling out of control when it comes to your money. Like, I don't know where it went, I don't know what it's doing, and you don't feel like the boss of your money. A budget is about you being the boss of your money and you deciding where it goes. The next step is to figure out where you have been spending money and what you have been spending it on. This can take a hot minute if you have never done this before. In my mind, there's basically 2 categories of things we spend money on. There's fixed and there's flexible. So get out a random piece of paper and figure out what are your fixed expenses and how much are they. So I'm talking your mortgage or your rent. I'm talking how much you're paying for internet, how much you're paying for your phone bill, how much you're paying for health insurance. In general, these numbers remain consistent. Sometimes between year to year they change, but in general, these costs are steady each month. Most of these also end up being necessities. You have to have some place to live. That doesn't mean we couldn't think about tweaking them later, but in general, these are the things that we can't do without. The other list of things that you are making is your flexible items. So these are things that can vary by a lot and they happen more frequently, like buying groceries or household items or toiletries or discretionary money or going out to restaurants, things like that. These vary and there's going to be more of those. So the flexible is definitely harder to track. So unless you are just feeling super ambitious, I wouldn't necessarily try to find all of these numbers all at once, because this could definitely take some time. So you probably need to look at your bank records, you might need to look at your credit card bill, maybe some receipts, maybe you spent some things with cash. So this is a process. So don't give yourself a hard time if this takes a while, you miss things, and it's not perfect. I still miss things. So sometimes we just forget that we spent money, or somehow we spent it with cash, or we didn't get a receipt. Things happen. We're just trying to get a more accurate look at our money. Okay, now you kind of have an idea about where the money is going, what you're spending it on. Now you need to figure out a tracking system that works for you. So this is different for everyone, and I know that there's a lot of people that just have a one-size-fits-all plan for you, like cash categories or whatever it is. And you know what? It doesn't work for everyone because everybody is different. So you need to come up with a method that's going to work for you and your family. So maybe it's a large piece of paper. This tracking method does not have to be fancy or particularly clever. It just needs to work for your life. So I know that there are apps that you can do your whole budget on, and for me, I feel like that just takes so much time to set it up, but maybe that's your thing, and that's totally fine. I have a simple version of the budget that we use and we customize each month, and I will leave that down in the description if you're interested in trying out that budget. My budget also has a tracking system, so you can write down things as you make purchases on your budget itself. You can also watch my other video that goes more into specifics about that particular budget called Easy Budget. Maybe for you, you have your fixed expenses, you wrote them all down on a piece of paper, and then all of your flexible expenses you've decided to do cash envelopes with, so that you aren't paying your $1,500 rent with cash, but you're keeping an eye on your money very directly through cash by using cash for your flexible categories. You also need to figure out what are you going to do with your receipts. So if you feel like you have enough self-discipline to pay off your credit card bill and it doesn't tempt you, perhaps you could use your credit card to track all of your expenses. So then you wouldn't have to save any receipts if you knew that you were just going to use your credit card for all your purchases, and then you would track it from there, and then you could just look at your credit card bill to figure out where you spent your money. An alternative, if you hate receipts, would be to have a debit card, because the debit card comes directly out of your account. So if you're having trouble with overspending on your credit card, you could use your debit card and then look at your bank statement to track all of your expenses. Or you could do what we do and you could keep all of your receipts and then have a bin of doom above your fridge that you chuck them in after you've dealt with them. Now you have a picture of what your money life looks like. It may not be as pretty as you were imagining, but you have faced the numbers. So now you have a fairly accurate view of where your money is going, what is happening to it, and you might surprise yourself. You might be spending less money in some categories and you're like, hey, I'm doing pretty good in that category. And some areas you might be a little bit appalled. So that's just part of the joy of making your first budget. So the next question, you need to ask yourself, where am I willing to adjust? So I would start with trying to adjust some of your flexible items, perhaps your food budget, but don't go crazy. So do not slash your food budget in half in the first month. Maybe take it down $10 or $20. The budgeting is a journey, and we're just trying to get a little bit better at each opportunity, not 100% better all at once in some magical move. So when you're thinking about changing the numbers or striving for a lower budget in your household items or something like that, don't take it down by $100. Just try little increments, because over time, that's what makes a huge difference. So no extreme budgeting, or yo-yo budgeting as I like to call it. You're just taking things down a little bit. Like, I bet you could spend $10 less on your food budget. And if you invested $10 more towards your goals, eventually this will start to make a difference. And if you change enough categories by $10 enough times, things will really start to look different. So while I was in college, I was so overwhelmed with doing schoolwork, I didn't want to think about money at all. But then after I graduated, I started getting interested in the budget, and I worked on the budget for 2 years. Think about this in a long view. So I was kind of reimagining our budget every single month and coming up with different strategies and things that actually worked for our lives. So if the first month you are not getting the results that you wanted, do not give up. This is not the end, this is simply the beginning. I also adjust my budget now every single month. I'm responding to what's happening. I'm responding to where it didn't work out last month. So if you're looking at somebody with their 3-page Excel spreadsheet budget with everything, just remember that they did not get there in a month. Drop a comment down below to help out my YouTube algorithm. Like this video if it was useful to you, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any uploads. See you in the next one. Bye for now.